Hello, everybody. Welcome to the seventh episode of the Warped Eye podcast.
Today, we will be having some announcements. Then we will continue with our regular broadcasting service.
Today's What If segment covers what would happen if we couldn't see colors, societal worth, and the importance of loving your work.
Let's get started with our announcements. Some of the regular listeners may have noticed that we were nowhere to be heard last week. This is because we were on vacation. It's summer break, a time specifically designated for one to chill. So that is what we did.
Yep, okay. Our next announcement is about a change in the future formatting of this podcast. Some listeners have said that they would like shorter episodes. So starting from the eighth episode, which is next week, we'll only be having two segments per episode. The first segment is going to alternate between What If and Productivity Corner, and the second segment will remain as the longer social/sciencey segment.
We will also be periodically releasing bonus episodes containing compilations of our fun debates, so be sure to look forward to that and enjoy your last four segment episode. And that is it for the announcements.
Alright, so let's get into the what if question. What if we couldn't see colors?
Oh, life would be so sad. A world without color would have no variety. Everything would just be a shade of black and white. And then with no color in the world, or like if everything was just black and white, our creativity would be very limited. No one could experiment with colors that weren't just black and white. And while black and white stuff I love, I personally really like black and white stuff. Like it won't be special if we couldn't see color in the first place.
Yeah, I agree. We would lose a way to express ourselves because, we like certain colors have certain vibes or feelings, and like maybe I'm feeling happy today, so I'm going to wear this color outside to express what I'm feeling. But I think a benefit might be that it would make life a lot simpler, like technology could be simpler. We wouldn't have to go through the trouble of inventing color TVs or anything like that. But, you know, color, if you think about it, being able to see color seems like a pretty useless thing, but I actually did some research, and color from an evolutionary perspective is actually quite important for finding like suitable mates and determining which foods are poisonous or if they're ready to eat yet, because like ripe foods, like they're a different color when they turn ripe. So it's a good ability to have.
Yeah. And a lot of phrases that we say today would not make sense if color didn't exist. Like, as you said, like, like how emotions are related to color. Like, I'm feeling blue today. Imagine if the sky didn't look blue to us. Imagine if it was just gray. We could not tell the difference between, like, a cloudy day versus just a normal day. Besides the texture, maybe we could tell like clouds look like they have shapes, whether but blue is just blue, but we could not tell if it was partly cloudy or just cloudy. We couldn't tell the weather. That's such a big thing. Appreciate the color you see around you. I think that's the main part here. We often think of color as just in a creative lens, which is amazing because that gives so much more interesting aspects of our life and so many new jobs and so many things that can make us feel happy, which is and entertain us, which is amazing. But also that color helps you survive in this world. Now we shall move on to talk about a social issue that is fundamental to how society works. Let's talk about societal worth.
Just to put like a disclaimer, there's going to be talk about like what society views as worthy or worthless, and that does not mean that that thing is actually worthless. Like whatever we say, we do not genuinely mean that certain people, certain professions, certain skills are worthless just because society views them that way. Our personal opinions are separate, from the operations of society. Actually, they're intertwined, but to be clear, we don't personally believe in everything that we're gonna say. So we understand that societal worth is probably a very sensitive topic to some people and it might be triggering. So if you feel uncomfortable at any point, please feel free to skip over this segment.
Oh,
Okay,
I'm gonna say
so
something. Oh
about
yeah.
societal worth, actually, I think that a large part of your societal worth is measured in your net worth, like money, or like what career you hold, or what education you've had. Because, like, there's a certain prestige to certain careers and like certain jobs or skill sets pay more than others. And I think the question is why certain skills or jobs pay more than others. And I don't
Mhm.
personally think it's because they require more hard work or more effort or they're actually worth more intrinsically. I don't think worth is a very universal concept.
I think that
I think higher pay isn't determined by any intrinsic value that society magically seems to perceive. Society isn't this flawless, all omnipotent being, but like I think things that pay higher are for things that society deems as important. Like maybe, right now we're very interested in advancing technology, and you can see that reflected in jobs like tech jobs, like working at Microsoft or Google or something. They pay very well. And like science jobs, like those are becoming more prized, if that's the right word. And throughout history, you can see the amount of money people are paid have changed with society's values changing. Like, for example, according to the Census of Manufacturers from 1905, the average pay of a woman 16 years or older was about $6.17 a week, which is roughly $200 per week in today's money. But as you can see, since 1905, there have there has been a lot push for women's and women have been able to get a lot more rights and equal standing. So you can see that because in 2021, according to an issue by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the median weekly salary of women in of a woman in 2021 is $900. So that went up like $700, which is very interesting.
I disagree with a lot of things you just said there, and I don't want people to take what I my opinion the wrong way. So I'll kind of explain what I mean because I have to. I think that it's not a bad thing that some people get paid more than others, even if they don't work that hard, because it's not just what society sees is worth more, it's what we actually do need. We kind of do need to advance technology, and it kind of makes sense that someone who does that will be paid more than someone who plays a sport for a living, right? Because that will actually bring worth to many people's lives all over the world. Maybe not like I'm not talking about something like, I don't know, something that will make your room look a little prettier, not like that. It's something like making an app on your phone that will help you every day, day to day life. So it makes sense that people who create more worth in more people's lives get paid more. And it's also what people will pay for, right? People won't pay always to see other people doing things. Like I personally do not pay for a sports channel because I personally am not interested in it. And I understand that a lot of people are interested in it, and I value people who do that. I really think that these people are really amazing and talented and they have incredible skill, but I personally would not pay. So if there what is not people paying for you to do something, There is no way you can earn more money. Like you can't expect the government to give people so much money, right? You can't expect them to give them $30,000 for every person who does not earn that much money because they're just pursuing a hobby that may not, which is amazing. Have hobbies. I'm not saying don't have hobbies. Have hobbies, but like not all of them can be built into careers, and you have to understand that you can't like throw a tantrum and be super entitled in that sense because you kind of do have to do something that other people will pay for that you are also good at that you also love. So there's like a Venn diagram there. Like all the circles are something that society will actually need and will benefit from. I'm not saying that it's just technology. I'm saying even enter in the entertainment industry, people benefit from that. People benefit. They feel happier when they see these entertainment. They feel happier when they listen to music. So I'm not saying that like, oh, a songwriter isn't helping someone every day to day, but they are because they might feel help someone feel happier. So it can be anything. It can be anything from a scientific researcher to a songwriter to a dancer, like bringing value to everyday people's life. But you can't expect all of these people to be paid the same because not everyone will be paying for that. I will be paying for my phone. I will not be paying to see someone dance all the time because that's just not what I'm interested in. I know that other people will pay for that though. I know that other people find value from something that I don't feel happiness from. I feel happiness from music. Someone might feel happiness from dance. We're different people, right? And so you can't expect everyone to be paid the same. I hope I'm making sense.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. I like your point about how societal values are ultimately some sort of combination of our individual values. Obviously, it's not a complete reflection of what every individual thinks, but to some extent, we have sort of these common values, but that's something I find particularly confusing about society. Like you're an individual, but at the same time you're part of society. Like you're somehow contributing to these values that are determining people's worth, but at the same time, you are also like a victim of these values. Like they're also determining your worth. Like it's like you're simultaneously part of the people who are like, I'm getting, the more I speak, the more confused I get.
Oh, I think
Society.
I can. I think I kind of get what you're saying. That we're trying to help something that we also fall victim to a lot of the time. And it's in our human nature. It's in our when humans first appeared, if they just wandered away from each other, not wanting to feel victim to society's pressure to survive, because that's what we needed to live, right? We have in us the deep-seated need and desire to live and feel accepted, because if we aren't accepted, we won't feel happy. But we have to find that balance, right? We can't just become a total recluse unless somehow you feel happy from that. I don't know. But we have to find a balance between not being able to fall victim to the things that you disagree with in society. You may disagree with something, but you're also part of society as a whole. The entire world is part of the same society. We have societies within the societies, like countries and then states and then schools and then friend groups. We can just keep zooming in, right? But you have to understand that you are part of that society. So, as part of that society, you can help change society's values. So, by standing up and to society's values and voicing your opinions, you you make that effort to show that society also has a value for what you believe in because you are part of society. So, a big thing is that you should not to your own thoughts and beliefs because there are a lot of things that society will affect your thoughts and beliefs, but it's really important to take a step away from that and see what is important for yourself and if you really think this is right in the first place. And don't do what Rene Descartes did. He's a philosopher. He just completely abandoned all of his beliefs and started from scratch. I mean, it's your opinion if you want to do that, sure, but it kind of ruined him. It really did. You kind of realize how much society has an impact on you. You have to start. He's like, am I really supposed to even be alive? Like, why do humans have a need to be alive? And he keeps going down this downward spiral. And he realizes that without some need to be alive, he won't be he won't survive in the first place. You realize how important society really is, whether you agree with everything or not. But if you disagree with something and you agree with something else, and that's since you're part of that society, society has that belief then. Society has many contrasting beliefs.
That was a very interesting point. I like the detaching point. So like you don't have to let society dictate everything that you are or that you do. Like your societal worth does not have to completely become your personal worth. Like there's so many forms of self-worth and we don't have to make societal worth the sole form of worth we have. I also like your point about how in a sense, we sort of need society, like it's a two-way relationship. Like society needs us, like if you have nobody, there's no society, but at the same time, we also need it. So I think the best we can do is to sort of, make it work for ourselves. That's kind of vague.
I think there's so many layers to society. And I was talking about zooming in on the layers of society. Like, we are a society, the entire world is a society, right, in itself. We live on planet Earth. We might live on Mars soon enough. But, just the human population, the human society. Then there's countries, there's continents, and there's countries, and there's states, then there are counties, and you keep zooming in till it gets to maybe one of your friend groups or multiple of your friend groups, your school. But if you keep zooming in, eventually you're going to get to yourself. And I think if you start viewing yourself as a society, you should hold yourself to your own beliefs in that sense, right? Your own society is what really matters. Your own society is your own brain. You have to you are influenced by the societies that are bigger than you, but you are also there are societies within societies within societies. You have to find your part in this whole giant diagram of the world, and you have to figure out where you fit. And it might take forever, but you might have to do that because it's hard to just be an outlier within that giant, the outermost circle of the world. If you're just that outlier, then humans have a need, a biological need to feel included. You will most likely feel very unhappy in that sense. So wherever you are, whether it's your family as a society, the beliefs your family holds, or is it if it's the beliefs your friend group holds, or and most importantly, the beliefs that you hold on your own. As long as you are happy, you still need to get some kind of acknowledgement from larger societies, right? And the world itself, there are so many societies in it that it does not feel the need to have other societies. Bigger and bigger societies often feel that they don't need acknowledgement from other societies, and that's what the whole nationalism thing is happening. Like, why do I need acknowledgement from another country? Think of that of yourself. Why do I need acknowledgement from another person? At some level, you do need it, but you don't need it fully, right? You don't need acceptance fully because the most important thing is for society to accept itself.
Could you elaborate on that? What, like, society accepting themselves and like what it means to not need acceptance from someone else fully. Because it's a very,
Yeah,
very interesting idea, making a society within yourself.
yeah. Because every society comes from a certain place. And what I was saying was think of yourself as like an entire country. Just think of yourself like, if you think about it, every country has some sense of nationalism. And there's some countries that aren't that nationalist. But take America. I think we're definitely in some places of America, we are pretty nationalist in our own way. We're very individualistic, and not like every nation has some sort of nationalism. Nationalism is essentially you do not need to feel acceptance within from other countries because you feel like you are so great. And that's not what I'm trying to say. Do not just have a super inflated ego because one day a pin is going to come and burst it. Have a sense of knowing that you are great while also knowing that you have to be able to interact with others. Like how one country has to be able to interact and trade with other countries. Otherwise, you would fall apart. We trade with other countries, right? So we do need to have relationships with them. But at the same time, we are big enough that we know that we are also able to be self-sustained. So you need to have that belief that you can be self-sustained and you can be happy in your own presence, which I think we're all trying to work on in a way. We all feel like we need to be, especially in the teenage years, right? It's so hard to be self-confident. It's just our brains aren't developed yet. Our brains really don't even start developing right until we're 16, right? And we try our best to be self-confident. At least I hope. Um, but we depend too much on others to do so. You can't depend that much on others because if someone else collapses around you, you will be unhappy about it. And while you should help your friends, I'm not saying don't help your friends, but like help yourself in the process. Know that you can be self-sustaining while also having good trade relations with your friends and your family. Societies have to interact, and if you are a society, you have to interact with other mini societies like you.
Very nice. I like that. Societal worth, it's it's like an extrinsic concept. Like other people are deciding it, and to some extent you are deciding it, but like your ideas are sort of somewhere lost in the big soup of everybody's beliefs known as societal beliefs. But I think your point about making a society within yourself, then you sort of place that worth back into yourself. The locus is like back to your internal society, and it's not an external factor anymore. It's internal, and that makes it a lot more stable, and it's just much better. Yeah, so we basically went from talking about money to talking about
Now, everyone's favorite segment, Productivity Corner.
today's topic is the importance of learning to love your work and how you can do it.
I feel like we've just been talking about this for like the last 25 minutes, but that's fine because I feel like what we were just talking about societal worth is very, very interconnected into loving your work as well. That to love your work, I was talking about that Venn diagram earlier when you were talking about jobs and money and stuff in the societal worth segment. Like how there's the three circles, right? I think my mom showed me this, trying to convince me that STEM is good when I was really hating STEM. Now look at me, I'm a science kid. So um listen to me. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so there are three circles. There's like a circle which is things that you love doing, right? And then there's a circle of things that will make society better, that society needs in a person. But that's only one circle. That's not the entire circle. That's only one circle. It's not the entire Venn diagram. And then the other sub circle is like is what you're skilled in, or what you can at least build your skill in, right? So think about it this way: you might love dancing, but you might be a terrible dancer. You have like no sense of rhythm, no sense of beat, no sense of music, and you are also incredibly inflexible, and you just cannot change that for some reason because of your bone structure. I don't think it's the best idea for that person to be a dancer, you see. Or don't be a singer if you have terrible pitch and you just cannot fix that for the life of you. You have to figure out that perfect middle spot in that Venn diagram. That perfect middle spot where you love your work, where you are skilled at your work, so you can help society in that sense, and you can love every moment of it.
Yes, not to be depressing or anything, but like you can't just survive on passion alone. Like you gotta be skilled in things, like you said, to some extent. Because even if you show up to a job interview and like, oh, and you express how passionate you are, and they can feel how passionate you are, but like you really just don't have the skill set, and like they can't hire you because you aren't going to, contribute.
That makes a lot of sense. And to just go over the skilled part a little bit, you also can't be one of those people who are like, I really love this thing, but I'm just so bad at it. Because there are things that you can build skill in, right? Like maybe like you like to play a sport. You might be a person who has like a health condition and you really can't play that sport. That's another situation. that you physically cannot play that sport. But then there's another thing in that maybe you want to play that sport for a living, but you're just like, oh, I'm not good at it. Well, I think a sport is one of those things where you have to keep practicing. So you can't just say that, oh, I'm not good at it when it's something that you can build a skill in. So when I said things that you are skilled at, also um, take into account that there are things that you can build your skill in and then use in your passions. For example, you might not be cut out for a certain job. Like I was watching this YouTube video and there was this not medical student, like medical doctor, and he was like, I didn't realize that I would not like being a doctor as much as I thought I did. He said that he he liked being a doctor, but not as much as he thought he would. But he remembered how much he loved teaching. So he decided to actually go back and teach. And I think there's a whole process for that, but let's not talk about that. So there are also these things where you can turn your passions into something that's untraditional, right? There's always something you can do. Start a new business where it's for teaching. Like I love teaching people. I love it a lot. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to go into something in academia, but it's be untraditional with it. Be unconventional with it. You can't just say, I like this, but I'm not good at it. There's always another way. You are disabled in some way, so you cannot play a sport. Well, there's another way to like make money out of a sport that you don't have to actually play the sport. There are many people that do that who are like sports agents and stuff like that. They still do things that they love, but they are actually skilled in. So don't throw a tantrum, please.
Yeah, so the whole point is be proactive, and
Yeah,
like if you don't like how things are going, or if you really like it but it's not really working for you, I think the first step you should be taking is asking like what can I do to make this better, not just like straight up giving up like you were saying, but like if it really doesn't work, then that's when you might want to consider trying something else. But that's not what this segment is about. It's about that that beginning stage, trying to make it work for you and trying to, revive your passion, or maybe make a passion if you didn't have one to begin with.
yeah. And I feel this is so relevant for our age group. We're going into high school, right? Like it takes a while. No one, barely anyone at our age really does know what they want to do because they might think they know, but often it will change. And I'm open to the idea that I might change my interests later on. I might not go into biology, which is insane to think about right now. But before, I used to think that I was gonna be some like kind of architect. And I was like, now I hate that kind of stuff. So it changes. And I think a big part of high school itself is finding out what you like and what your passion is and what you want to study. Like, don't even think about work that much. Just know that, I mean, of course, it has to be something that you can make a living out of. That's all you need to think about the work part, though, right? You need to think about what you like doing, and there will most likely be a way to earn money from that and make a living for yourself. Most likely. Yeah, high school is a time to explore your interests. And that is what I'm so excited about in high school because we shall explore and find new hobbies. And even if some of your hobbies don't become your profession, it's like fun to have them on the side. It's things that you do to feel happy, right?
Yeah, so like improving other areas of your life can help you love your work, because if you're feeling better, feeling happier overall, then you're more likely to be in a healthier, happier state to take on your work and have a more positive perspective. So like taking care of your health, taking breaks like we discussed in a previous episode, can really help you feel like you want to take on your work and like it. I think another important part of getting yourself to love your work is first of all feeling like you're making progress, because like if you don't feel like you're making progress, then it can get pretty discouraging pretty fast. But so you can set goals for that. There's ways to track progress like quantitatively or like achievement wise. Although you shouldn't make your work all based on like the quantitative results or anything, because that is how you like get stressed and start hating your work. So that's not what we're about. But the
And
second
fall
thing,
into the trap of toxic productivity.
yeah, but the second thing is feeling like you're doing something significant, either to like the world or to your personal development. Because if you see like the importance of something, you're more likely to feel motivated to do it, to feel like yeah, this is so great. I'm happy to be doing this.
Exactly. For those people out there that still think that it's not important to love your work, because we've mainly been talking about how, and you started touching on the importance of it. But I just wanted to say that actually it's been proven by studies that when people have a passion for their work and they actually love their work, that they do better at it. They are more productive in their work. People who love their jobs get more done. They feel happier and they are able to make relationships work in their lives, like friendships and like romantic relationships, plus relationships with your coworkers and making sure that you can get stuff done because you need to have good social skills in your work too, right? And when you're happy in your workplace and doing what you love, you're able to do more that way because you're able to cooperate with other people. You are better at you have an energy around you that makes other people love their work, honestly. It's loving your work creates not just like a good environment for you in being more productive, but also brings a better environment in your workplace, helping other people be their best selves as well.
Yes, like a domino effect, or more like a cycle, I guess. Because
Mhm.
if other people at your workplace are feeling better, then like you feel better, and there's just this whole transfer of positive energy, and everybody's feeling great.
Yeah, it is a cycle. It's just energies like bursting, helping everyone feel their best selves. That was a lovely productivity corner. Now, on to the fun stuff. Our fun topic for today is how much money would someone have to pay you for you to break your best friend's arm? I love this question. I think this
Hmm.
number is kind of the same for everyone. I calculated a more solid number. It's not just my best friend. I think if this someone had to pay me to break anyone's arm, maybe not a criminal, I would happily break Ted Bundy's arm if he was alive. But like, like a normal person in life that I might know, like for me the number is the same for my best friend and like a teacher or my mom, like something like that. It's pretty similar, the numbers. Maybe it might fluctuate by a few $100s, but it's okay. Anyway, do you have a general range or should I just go with my calculation?
Oh, I did not calculate anything, so like you can go in.
Okay. So, I looked up how much it costs for a broken arm. And with no health insurance, a broken bone that requires no surgery, it's about 2,500 or more. So I'm just going to round it to 3,000 for no surgery and for a broken arm with no health insurance that requires surgery, it's 16,000 plus. Okay, so I'm just going to go that this does not require surgery, it's just a cast and some realignment and stuff. That is about 3,000 for the repairs. My best friend, so like my best friend would like maybe play a sport that would keep her back for in sports, especially in high school. It's a big deal for her. That's like another 2,000 for her, because it depends on the person. Like if it's someone who plays a sport, I'd feel worse breaking their arm than I would feel breaking someone who does not play a sport.
Oh, how
So
much
in
does?
all, that
Oh, you know.
with so in all, this runs up to like 2,000 for my best friend, 1,000 for me, right? So that's like $3,000, and then plus whatever it costs to actually repair the arm.
Oh, yeah, very nice. So I think that goes around to 6,000 because earlier you said no surgery, no health insurance was around 3,000. Wow, that's a lot of money. I feel like It depends on how much you want me to break their arm. Because if you just want like a tiny crack, like oh that is just hard. But if you want me to like clean cut through their bone, then you gotta pay me like more. And also, you gotta pay me enough money to build like some complicated contraption to break their arm. Cause I am not gonna just walk up to them and like crack their arm. Like I'm going to like make it seem like an accident. Like, oh, you tripped down the stairs. Okay, I'm sorry, you have a broken arm. They will not know. You will pay me to make sure they do not know. But
Oh, I see. Yeah, that makes
yes,
sense. Yeah, I have another like 3,000 on my end.
I would also lump in like emotional compensation fees, like you did, and maybe like therapy if I end up being consumed by overwhelming guilt. You know, just why don't you just empty out your whole bank account? How's that?
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, you're giving me an offer, I'd gladly take it. Like heck yeah. I get to
Yeah.
decide how much you pay me. Yeah, thank you for joining us on this lovely episode. Let's all take a moment to mourn the death of the 4 segment episode.
A moment of sobbing, please. Anyway, comment down below and tell us how much it would take you to break your best friend's arm. Thank you for tuning in once again and have a good life.